Episode 3 of the Ahsoka show, Time to Fly, is out now, and I seem to be in a weird position of really enjoying the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, where many dislike them, and disliking this episode, when from what I'm hearing, Time to Fly was the best episode so far for many people. So first, I'll break down the plot, and then give my perhaps controversial opinion, given the positives and negatives for episode 3, and the Ahsoka series so far as a whole. So first off, let's get into the plot. Ahsoka, Sabine and Huyang are travelling through hyperspace, to the location of the hyperdrive part that Chopper put a tracker on last episode. Ahsoka is training Sabine, and once again, with numerous comments from Huyang, we see that Sabine may in fact have the worst ability of any Padawan we've seen in Star Wars. She is still unable to use the Force, and her combat abilities are very clunky, and not that of a graceful, balanced Jedi. Whilst training Sabine, Huyang holds 4 hologram lightsabers, just like General Grievous, as a very fun nod to the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith villain. We then go to the New Republic fleet, and Hera requests support for Ahsoka and Sabine from Chancellor Mon Mothma and 4 other senators, including Senator Xiono, who seems very much against Hera right from the start of the meeting. Hera delivers a rather undiplomatic argument and is denied the support she requested, meaning that for now, Ahsoka and Sabine are on their own. Hera informs Ahsoka of her failure to get the New Republic support, and then her signal is lost. Ahsoka realises that her communications are being jammed and pulls out of hyperspace. Ahsoka and co are ambushed by Shin, Marek and 4 other fighters, and we hear Marek's first words, which support the rumours and fan theories that Marek is played by Sam Witwer, and could either be Starkiller, Darth Vader's apprentice from the Force Unleashed games, or a new apprentice of Vader's that we haven't met up to now. Either way, his line, "as you wish," is taken straight from Vader's vocabulary.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
Ahsoka and co survive the dogfight after Sabine and Ahsoka work together to take out some of the fighters, with Ahsoka piloting and Sabine manning the guns. They then come face to face with the Eye of Sion. Dodging the Sion's turbo lasers, Huyang scans the station, and on completion of the scan, he is knocked offline, as one of the station's turbo lasers finally hits their ship. Sabine reboots the ship as Ahsoka holds off Shin and Marek by heading into space and defending the ship with her lightsabers, which is a nice callback to some of the episodes in the first few seasons of the Clone Wars, where Ahsoka fights in space alongside Anakin and the 501st with her spacesuit. Sabine gets the ship back online and Ahsoka climbs back inside. They fly down to Cetos, and through the clouds they come across a small group of Purgle, the hyperspace travelling whales that Ezra used to transport himself and Thrawn at the end of Star Wars Rebels. Sabine uses the whales to escape from Shin and Marek, and they land among the planet's forest. Huyang, who is now back online, says that the Eye of Sion is capable of travelling huge distances and potentially reaching other galaxies. Sabine and Ahsoka are excited to see the Purgles, as the last time they saw the creatures was also the last time they saw Ezra. The episode ends as we see Baylan send Morgan's assassin droids and soldiers out into the forest to hunt for Ahsoka and Sabine.
The Jedi have taken refuge in the forest. Hunt them down.
Which I'm guessing is where episode 4 will start off from, with Ahsoka and Sabine fighting Morgan Elsbeth's droids and soldiers, then Baylan, Marek and Shin. Before going over what I liked and what I didn't like about Time to Fly, here's my ratings for the episode. Plot scored 7, entertainment value 6, characters and performances 5, visuals 7, sound gets a 7, and the ending scores 6. So my overall rating for episode 2 is 63%. The score is obviously a big step down from the first 2 episodes, which scored 82% and 88%. So before getting into my many issues with episode 3, let's take a look at the positives. Last episode, I said that I love the relationship between Baylan, Shin and Morgan Elsbeth. And in this episode, yes, we only saw Baylan for the last 10 seconds, but Shin was much more prominent. We see a glimpse of her tense relationship with Morgan Elsbeth, which is very interesting.
Morgan, they're entering your sector.
I'm surprised you let them get this far.
Morgan, congratulations.
You almost got them.
I have eyes on them. We'll take it from here.
This shows that Shin doesn't quite see eye to eye with Elsbeth, and is only working for her because her master is. And if Baylan wasn't working for Elsbeth, Shin definitely wouldn't be. Now I believe that Shin will either be Baylan's daughter, or will eventually betray Baylan, as is the Sith apprentice way. But now perhaps I'll add another Shin theory to the list. I think she may betray Morgan Elsbeth. Another positive for me is Huyang. I said that Huyang was becoming a favourite of mine after episode 2, with his logical, if not very blunt disposition, and after episode 3, with his General Grievous-like hologram lightsabers, and more of his quippy lines, I can safely say that he's a joy to watch. He's also really useful, with his knowledge of Jedi history and protocols, his piloting ability, and now we see that he also serves as a good trainer for Padawan Sabine. The visuals, as with the first 2 episodes of this series, are very impressive, and Ahsoka's T6 shuttle and its rotating wings are visually really cool. So that's about it for the positives I can give for this episode. So now, on to the negatives. The fact that I mentioned the side characters, Shin and Huyang, and not Ahsoka and Sabine in the positives, is a bit of an indictment on our lead protagonists. I disregarded the criticism in the first 2 episodes that Ahsoka is too stoic or wooden and expressionless, and up till now I did enjoy Rosario Dawson's performance. But after episode 3, I do have to agree with the early criticism. She is just so monotone and doesn't have enough charisma to hold the series on her own. And it's certainly not because Dawson is not a good actress. This emotionless side to Ahsoka, I imagine, was a choice from either her or Filoni. Then we move on to Sabine. Sabine is a decent enough hero, and her lack of force ability does make her an interesting character. But when Ahsoka is on screen, the pace slows down, even in the action scenes. Which is a real shame, as I really like the character from her Clone Wars, Rebels, and Tales of the Jedi days. Also, Hera's son Jason has seemingly been given a cringe gene from Hera. Even though he was on scene for about 10 seconds, his green hair and gerbil-like enthusiasm was difficult for me to watch, without tensing up in embarrassment.
Mom, is it true Aunt Sabine is gonna be a Jedi?
No.
I want to be a Jedi.
Yeah, I know you do, Jason.
And I think it's safe to say that Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera is a big miscast. She comes off as abrasive and arrogant, and I'm really not enjoying her live-action portrayal at all. Another issue with this episode, which isn't to do with the characters, is its runtime. This episode is 36 minutes and 32 seconds, but when you take away the almost 2-minute intro and recap, and 5 minutes and 20 seconds of end credits, we're left with a 29-minute episode, which is more in line with the smaller, contained Mandalorian episodes, like The Passenger and The Foundling. The first 2 episodes of Ahsoka were large in scope, whereas this episode was pretty much a dogfight over Cetos. The last few minutes, when they landed on Cetos and Baylan started sending out his troops, was when I started to get invested into the episode. And then it ended 10 seconds later. It's been said many times before that the Star Wars Disney Plus shows have runtime issues, with episodes that are way too short. And unfortunately, Ahsoka carries on this trend. Episode 1 is 57 minutes, so around 50 minutes of actual episode time, and then episode 3 is under 30 minutes, so almost half the length of episode 1. And this clear difference in episode runtime really unbalances the show, and as we've seen with other Star Wars series, normally leads to a drop-off in episode 3, 4 and 5. The space battle was also lacking in any real tension for me, and as it was such a large portion of the episode, the fact that it didn't work has potentially skewed my judgment of the episode overall. Shin and Marek had about 50 runs on Ahsoka's ship, and despite hitting the ship numerous times, it didn't feel like they did any real damage. Huyang had a line about the shields being low, but at no point did I feel like they were under any threat. And then the entire Eye of Sion hyperspace ring appeared to have just 2 cannons on a whole station, and only managed to hit Ahsoka's ship moments before it was right next to the control hub. Which, yes, I understand that the Eye of Sion is just a hyperspace ring, but Morganell's best defences were really rubbish, considering it's something she's been building and planning for a very long time. And it's lucky for her that the New Republic didn't arrive to support Ahsoka, or else Elsbeth and her station would have been wiped out straight away. And lastly, which is perhaps an issue that just affected me, was the noise of the fighter cannons, as they held no weight whatsoever. They sounded tinny and weak. There was never a point in the dogfight where I thought that their lives were at risk. I'm really hoping for better in episode 4, and hopefully this is just a one-off episode which was inhibited by its runtime and perhaps its budget restraints, as it's the shortest episode of this season by far, suggesting that the big money has perhaps been saved for the first 2 episodes and the finale. Episode 3 received a rather low 63%, largely due to a poor character score. This episode, in fact, scored lower than my worst rated episodes in any of the Mandalorian seasons. And truth be told, I'm quite sad at how low I rated this episode, because I wanted the Ahsoka series to be great, but I can't let my want for the show to be good affect my honest review of the episode. The overall score for the series, 3 episodes in, now stands at 78%. On the series leaderboard, Ahsoka is sitting in 15th place, down 5 places compared to its position after last week's episode, falling below Mando Season 3 and The Witcher Season 1. I'm optimistic that it can climb back into the top 10, but being anywhere near Andor or the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian seems like a very low possibility. Compared to other Star Wars Disney Plus shows, Ahsoka is above Kenobi and The Book of Boba Fett, but as I mentioned, it's a long way off the top, with Andor, Mando Season 2, and Tales of the Jedi. So now I want to know, what were your thoughts on the episode? Am I way off in my dislike for episode 3? Or like me, were you let down by this one? Let me know in your comments below. If you're new here, then perhaps consider subscribing to Film Club. I'll be reviewing every episode of Ahsoka over the next few weeks, and later this month, I'll be reviewing the film The Creator, which is directed by Rogue One director Gareth Edwards. Thank you for watching, and see you again.